There's no way to not make this sound cringe and gay, but I'm not really not spiritual or anything like that. I'm just kind of a non-denominational man of faith of some form or fashion. Take that for whatever you will. There is a greater power that's out there and blah, 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 all that stuff. I like to take tenets from the other big faiths that are around there, okay? I like the structure of Islam. Of course, the Judeo-Christian values are definitely at the feet of Western culture, and unfortunately their decay is because of the wishy-washiness that is at the center of Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, all that type of stuff. I don't know a whole heck of a lot about Buddhism, but, you know, this centering and meditative principles, I appreciate that stuff as well. But in the course of my travels, my intellectual travels, I've never come across an interpretation of the Messiah that ever led me down the road to find Ezra Miller. But this is where we're at this point. Like, this dude is absolutely nuts, okay? And I've been cataloging all of his exploits over the past year fairly extensively because I find this absolutely insane, okay? Why anybody continues to have this many Vanity Fair, Hollywood reporters, big trade pieces writ about him, but then still not being behind bars. Like, what the fuck is actually going on here? Is this guy going to be allowed to go out there and groom anybody that's in his arm's reach? Okay, is he going to be allowed to run an illegal grow op in fucking Vermont and nobody bats an eye at this mongoloid? Like, he's already been slapped with how many restraining orders, how many protective orders on top of that, and running around choking a bitch? I don't fucking understand the situation at all whatsoever. So let's do a little refresher course, shall we? So here's the latest article from Vanity Fair that I don't know if it'll hold any weight at this point or what the fuck the progression is ultimately going to be, but here it is. A special report by Julie Miller. Ezra Miller's Messiah delusion. Yeah, that's the latest claim that's thrown on top of this. He is God. Whew! Inside the Flash star's dark spiral. And that's another reason. I might have to do something about that. I might write that down, okay? Because there's talks about a merger, okay? And the reason that the Flash movie that ended up costing Warner Brothers about 200, just about probably 300 million at this point, okay? The reason that that film just hasn't been shit-canned like Batgirl and hasn't gone through reshoots like Aquaman 2 is because they are about, get this, $50 billion in debt, and Warner Brothers Discovery, that just went through a big merger on top of that stuff, so there's already shakeups happening, might be trying to merge with NBC Universal, okay? So Warner Brothers, as you know it, might end up becoming a subsidiary under the fucking cock, under the peacock. What a fucking time we live in, okay? Warner Brothers, one of the movie houses that's at least putting out some stuff that isn't horrifyingly woke, okay? Like, they're the studio behind, you know, Top Gun, like the best performing film that's likely to be for a very long time, okay? They've done some other shit that, like, people liked, oh, whatever it's called now. Is it The Suicide Squad? The one that came out, not the original one. Fucking abomination of a film. But the other one came out directed by James Gunn, the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy. People seemed to like that. It didn't have any of the intersectionality and any of the political influences in there. It was just a fun rated R superhero film. For as bad as the Zack Snyder stuff is, and again, I'll go down to my dying breath by saying that motherfucker has always been overrated. 300 was fine at the time, but slow-mo, give me a fucking break, okay? It was cool for 2006, but let's move on. And no amount of revisionist history is ever going to make me believe that the fucking Watchmen was tolerable. I was done. After I seen Malum Ackerman's titties, I was fucking done with that film. That shit sucks to high fucking heaven. But they allowed him to, you know, come back and for a couple $1 million more just rework his version of the Justice League and shit all over geeks and gamers before putting out that 4-hour-long 4x3 black and white hunk of garbage. But still, at the end of the day, it wasn't woke, but then you also employ a fucking groomer. Okay, we got to be specific. Ezra Miller, you employ him, and you stuck by him, knowing all of the shit that was going on beforehand, and then you rest your hopes of your, well, entire studio that includes so many things at this point. Warner Brothers, Discovery, all of it rests in the unstable hands of Ezra Miller. Well, folks, you reap what you fucking sow. They're... again, now they're just going to be getting into this pronoun nonsense. Vanity Fair, just fucking fix your shit. He's one of Hollywood's brightest stars. Not really. Like, the dude's been around the game for a minute, but everything that he's a part of, he's a bit player in, or the fucking franchise sucks, because he's a big part of Fantastic Beasts, and how do you flop so hard after the titanic success of Harry Potter? Because I know finally the sequel to Avatar is coming out, and that movie sucks dick. I seen it once, fell asleep a whole bunch, and I've never, ever, ever had the urge to see it again. That movie's, okay, I was going to say Aquaman, but Avatar 2 is going to make all the fucking money in the world. But you have that rip-roaring success of the Harry Potter films, and then you just crap out some shit that can barely crest a few $100 million profit. Oh, good job, I guess. But yes, Ezra Miller, Hollywood star. Sources needed. And most troubled actors, amid safety concerns and anxiety over the fate of a $200 million movie. And then the fact that it continues to get delayed, reshoots have to be made, and unfortunately you can't really shoot around and rework everything that you have, because this film is done. It's fucking done. And now, because Ezra Miller made himself the spectacle on the public stage like he has, Warner Brothers is left with a precarious choice. Couldn't happen to a dumber company. Vanity Fair unearths disturbing new details in the saga of grandiose sermons, guns, drugs, and alleged assault and grooming. Oh, there's no alleged assault, and there's no alleged grooming that happened. Both of those things are very fucking true. I've seen the documents that are out there. Ezra Miller did not, to put it mildly, invoke their right to remain silent. This past March, April was arrested at a tiki bar. But was he holding a tiki torch, or was he calling out the Klan at this point? Unbelievable. On a bar called Margarita Village in Ilo, Hawaii, and shouting profanities, spitting in a patron's face, and grabbing a microphone from a woman singing karaoke to Shallow from A Star is Born. Miller claimed to have been accosted by a Nazi at the event. Oh, and has evidence. A Nazi in Hawaii. No. They went to Argentina. They didn't go to Hawaii. Anyways, in fact, one of the first things you hear the actor saying, the 3-minute police body cam footage that circulated after the arrest, is something the officer had never heard from a disorderly dive bar patron before. I feel myself when I get assaulted for NFT crypto art. That's why NFTs are in the shape they are. You haven't heard about them a lot lately, have you? Boy, they were a big thing over the summer, and then they just fucking nosedive. It's almost like everybody knew it was a fucking scam from the get-go. Once outside, Miller, sweaty and disheveled, in a black suit jacket, burgundy pants, and a red tie, barks at the cops to state their full names and badge numbers. No, motherfucker, you're the ones under arrest. One attempts to search Miller's pockets, and the actor says twice, rapid fire, "I'm transgender, non-binary." Okay, cool. So we can also write down mental illness. I don't want to be searched by a man. Sorry, we don't have any whack jobs on the police force. It's a pretty small squadron. So after being called sir, the actor responds, "That's an act of intentional bigotry and a technical hate crime, Miller," whose pronouns are they, them. Fuck off. Again, if you needed any more evidence that this is just an obvious attempt at a untenable position of a shield, that's what you get right there when it comes to all this transgender nonsense. Because the people that actually go through the transition want to end up like Blair White, okay? Somebody who's a dude, recognizes that they're biologically a dude, but went through all of the fucking changes in order to be presentable female, and then wants to live their life as a fucking female because it went through all of that trouble to get there to begin with. Not idiots who want fucking brownie points for being special. Unlawful persecution for a crime of no designation. Says they have pre-existing nerve damage from police handcuffs, I'm sure. And expands on the Nazi assault. Oh, okay, cool. So it's a hate crime if he's misgendered, but feel free to continue to call people or call anybody that disagrees with you a Nazi. Make that make sense. You should have told us instead of running away, the officer replies placidly. "We took care of everything real quick, but you wanted to play the game." Hey. Sources say the actor verbally and emotionally abused those around them and referred to himself alternately as Jesus and the devil. Oh, cool. So he's the entire triumvirate. Father, the Son, and the holy pedophile. All right. When the police empty Miller's pockets, they found styrofoam Nerf bullets. Okay, and placed them in a plastic bag alongside a single accessory linked to a person. Linked the person in handcuffs to the movie that their acclaimed career, as well as $200 million of Warner Brothers money, is riding on. A ring emblazoned with a DC superhero character. Oh, okay. Which one was it? Wonder Woman? I wonder if he's a woman. By now, Miller seemed to have burned out their rage. The flash ring means a lot to me, the actor said quietly. It's very valuable. Am I supposed to feel bad for this fucking nut job? Like, you're being arrested, dude. That arrest was just one turn in the downward spiral, so confusing and troubling that even old friends, he has old friends? That's interesting. Have difficulty parsing the chaos. What's clear is that Miller has been endangering not just their career, but also their safety and allegedly, that of others. An increasingly plain sight over the last 2 years. Since 2020, the actor has been accused of crimes and abuses spanning 6,000 miles and 2 oceans. Yeah, exactly. In Iceland, where he choked out somebody behind a bar for a joke? Like, whatever. Throwing a chair and hit a woman in the forehead, threatening a couple in their bedroom. What? And stealing their wallet and passport in Hawaii on top of an incident at Margarita Village, choking 2 strangers in Iceland. 2 strangers? Okay. And breaking into a neighbor's home in Vermont to steal alcohol. We talked about that. I think that was the last video I did, which resulted in a felony charge. Yep. And still at large, by the way. Still at fucking large. Can you believe this? Can you believe it? In June, 2 prosecution orders were issued against Miller. The first was filed in tribal court in North Dakota by Chase Iron Eyes, a Native American businessman, his wife Sarah Jumping Eagle, on behalf of their 18-year-old daughter, Takata Iron Eyes, who goes by Gibson. So, Gibson Iron Eyes? Not joking. They accused Miller of grooming, brainwashing, and emotionally abusing the teenager, a non-binary indigenous activist. So, yeah. Parents didn't exactly do a fucking bang-up job to begin with. Met Iron Eyes was just 12. Tribal court put a temporary order in place, but ultimately dismissed the request for a permanent one, and the parents say they withdrew their request for custody, believing the odds were stacked against them. The second order was requested by a mother in Massachusetts, who, and again, we went through that story in detail, and a reason, number one, that this dude should be set on fucking fire. Most recently, Vermont State Police were dispatched to Miller's farm. He went, where'd you learn how to fight? On a farm? With an emergency order from the Department of Children and Families. A 25-year-old woman named Anna, who had kidnapped her kids, moved across the ocean in order to live with Miller on his pot farm. Well, her kids, played with firearms and stuffed animals, while her cuck back across the pond in the UK can't spell cuck without UK. Just sat there and complained. So the woman has said that Ezra saved her family from an abusive situation. Are you fucking retarded? Miller's farm was said to be gun-ridden and unsafe for children. I saw more guns than ever, 3 little kids running around them. Oh, cool. A longtime friend who visited in May tells Vanity Fair the youngest girl picked up a bullet and put it in her mouth. Cool. The order issued on August 5th demanded that custody of Anna's kids immediately be transferred to the state. Oh, great. Oh, but when police arrived from the movie star's farm, Anna and the children were gone. Oh, okay. The children's father tells Vanity Fair. Again, children's father? Shouldn't he have a say in this? Oh, no. He allegedly hurt the mother, who we should just believe because #BelieveAllWomen is still in effect. Don't you think you'd learn dealing with these DC superheroes? Don't you think there's another one who kind of set the precedent on that? Has not spoken to the kids since April. Court date concerning the custody has been set for October in Hawaii. I'm sure they'll get right on that. I'm sure it'll be prompt, and they'll turn right up at the courthouse for that. Warner Brothers has not commented on their marquee superhero. Yeah, because he's the only one that's... Because it's weird, because this was supposed to be the point, this film, for as much as I know about it, which admittedly isn't a whole hell of a lot, this was supposed to be the point, the transition point, the handoff point, if you will, from the Snyder shitstorm, Snyderverse that's out there, into whatever the fuck they're trying to do with the Rock being Black Adam and all that fucking nonsense. Okay, this was supposed to be that flip point because there's a comic story, Flashpoint, where everything gets reset, and That's what this is supposed to do, because DC can't do anything fucking properly. Instead of establishing their superheroes like the Avengers, like Marvel did to begin with, to work up to their big team-up film, they just decided, fuck it, we'll do a Batman story, intersect it with this budding Superman story, so that we could just rush out that fucking tripe. Call it the Justice League, and then just make stories for everybody else, so that that's the movie that nobody cared about will spurn off a bunch of characters that people will eventually care about. God, DC and Warner Brothers are so stupid. How do you have the two most recognizable superheroes in history and you can't make fucking stories about them? You can't make a franchise stick with Batman and Superman? Anyways, rant aside. Source claimed that the situation, say the studio and the actor's agency, CAA, suggested Miller work with somebody in crisis PR. Yeah, exactly. I guess this is supposed to be the big film of 2023, but how do you do this? Hi, we got this groomer, and he runs really fast, and the FBI just can't find him, so please go see it. You can be like the Flash in real time. On August 15th, Miller finally admitted that he was in the midst of an intense crisis and said in a statement, like, I give a fuck what this groomer has to say. I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. Stop poking me in the back. I'll just read the statement. I want to apologize to everybody that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I'm committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life. Were you ever there to begin with? How can you return to something that you never had? A source with knowledge to the situation tells Vanity Fair that the work currently consists of undergoing therapy. Great. You've still been charged with a felony. Is he going to jail for that? No, once again. Two-tiered system that's out there. Women and they-thems are different than the rest of us get to experience. Over the last 6 weeks, Vanity Fair has spoken to more than a dozen people who crossed paths with Miller in recent years, some of whom worked closely or lived with the actor on the 95-acre farm in Vermont. Most sources described Miller's spiral as a conflagration, great word, of the mental health issues the actor has acknowledged, along with drugs, guns. What do guns have to do with this? And outlandish claims that he raged for more than 2 years. Yeah, don't do drugs are bad, okay? They say the actor verbally and emotionally abused those around him and referred to themselves alternately as Jesus and the devil. 3 people say Miller has also wrapped the superhero they play into their grandiose speechifying. Also, he recites his sermon incredibly fast. Cool. The actor says one source was claiming that the Flash is the one who brings the multiverse together, just like Jesus. Right. No, I think Superman is the Jesus allegory, but okay. All of this has been a disturbing trajectory for Miller, whose critical breakthrough came at 19 in a deeply unnerving performance in the 2011 school massacre drama. We need to talk about Kevin. Okay, well, we need to talk about Ezra. Following year, Miller proved their range with charismatic turn in the coming-of-age story, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Oh, every hipster bitch loves that fucking film. Ugh. Since then, the actor is hopscotch from indies like the Stanford Prison. Yeah, real big coming out if you can't continue to book consistent work. Funny. Stanford Prison Experiment, full-blown franchise stardom, appearing alongside, hey, Johnny Depp. And he can really attract these fucking psychopaths. In the Harry Potter spin-off series Fantastic Beasts, which has gone nowhere at the speed of, well, not Flash, which has grossed about $1.8 billion. Cool, just don't mention the third film because it did nothing. Don't talk about that at all. We're just talking about the first 2 and their middling critical acclaim. In interviews, Miller has long fashioned himself as an Hollywood outsider and queer champion. No, exactly. Those 2 things are intertwined at this point. How can you be an outsider but then just wholeheartedly support the system? Oh boy, maybe you do have severe mental illness issues and you're not just running this as a cover. Who blurs gender lines. Oh my god. Again, just take a look at all of the people that the places like Vanity Fair are trying to push out there. You're strong and stunning and brave if you're a man and you wear a dress. Don't worry about it. And seem to revel in provocation. The actor has offered journalists marijuana mid-interview. Oh, he's just a good host then. And spoken in gibberish to reporters at Comic-Con while wearing silk lingerie as a sexy Super Mario Brothers character. Wasn't he dressed as a Goomba or some shit like that? Isn't that Italian appropriation? Bigot. In 2018, in What was intended to be a jovial junket interview promoting Fantastic Beasts, Miller recounted a childhood nightmare that involves a path train, Beethoven, and his mother and sister's throats being slit open like pigs. Oh, how adorable. Miller's co-star mouthed holy shit to the camera. Though it veered dark, the actor's eccentricity initially struck many as endearing. When somebody's this fucking nuts, you're just kind of like, don't send them out on the press junket anymore. Just keep them mothballed for a minute. There's a bunch of other people that you can send out there for Fantastic Beasts, and especially for Justice League, because, you know, again, somebody else who unfortunately just finds himself in terrible situations. Great casting. Pitch perfect casting. But Henry Cavill is Superman. Fucking guy just finds himself in terrible situation after terrible situation. I don't know, you should fire his fucking agent, because that guy should be the biggest movie star on earth. Tiny little arms aside. Miller's outspokenness about sexuality and gender identity. Again, Hollywood outsider, really, when you're just adopting all the same talking points? Whatever. Earned himself as a reputation for empathy and progressiveness. Talking about sex and sexuality and then later being outed as a groomer is somehow an acolyte of the progressive ideology? Weird. As well as effusive internet titles like Queer Icon. The hero we need right now in our binary king. Thanks, Reddit. 2018 GQ Style put Miller on its cover and wrote, "Please God, tell us about the next generation movie stars are going to be like this." That's why nobody thinks GQ is serious. Fuck, they just had AOC on front of their latest issue. And again, GQ stands for not generally queer, Gentleman's Quarterly. Gentleman's Quarterly. Recently had AOC, very much a woman, on the front cover saying that women can never be presidents. How many female leaders in the world? Regrettably. Stephen Chbosky, who wrote and directed The Perks of Being a Wallflower, as well as the novel on which it's based, hasn't spoken to Miller in 10 years. He's probably better off because of it. He wrote them a letter to show his support for the troubling reports started appearing. Supports for the perpetrator, not for the victim? Weird. But isn't sure. He sent it to the right email address. I hope Ezra finds the light that he needs, shines back. Just stop coddling this fucking dude. Except for the fact that he probably knows the color, crank, and curvature of every crank in fucking Hollywood from every producer's office. Just saying, why do you think they're running such cover for this obvious psychopath? But yeah, Vanity Fair runs down all of his highlights, okay, all of the different instances that happened. There's a couple of new ones that are on here, but we'll just run this down, okay? I'm not going to read all of this stuff because you know everything about Iceland, where he went behind a bar after he called out a woman that's there, choked her, it all got caught on camera, blasey. We went through that in great detail. Again, I would go through this in more detail, but I already did a lot more detailed videos on the specific topics, and for the sake of brevity. The Mountain, which is the nickname for his farm, which is weird, okay? It's a farm, it's not a mountain, and it's in Vermont, which I know rich white people used to go ski all the time, and it used to actually be a bastion of conservatism, but again, just goes to show you how weak and inept conservatives are, letting this fucking psychopath run amok. But this is where he initially took Takata Iron Eyes up there and did all of the fucking weird stuff with her after years and years of grooming activities. That's adorable. Ugh. Like, how did you not see the red flags manifesting? Like, this shit was all the way back in 2019. Controlling behavior in Hawaii, yeah, initially where all of this stuff kind of kicked up, and then everybody's starting to go back and just really telling their own stories about that. But yeah, went through that in detail as well. And then, yes, the Hornet's Nest, that's where he ended up kidnapping. Oh, I'm sorry. The single mother ended up taking her 3 kids over to go, I don't know, suck on bullets. Jesus Christ. But all right, here we go. Miller is scheduled to appear in Vermont court on September 26th for an arraignment of felony burglary charge related to an alleged breaking and entering and theft of alcohol. Yeah, that's what ends up getting him taken down. He'll probably just get a slap on the wrist. Oh no, you'll get community service. I'll talk about that, sure, I'd imagine, at one point or another. The restraining order in Massachusetts concerning the non-binary 12-year-old, likes to prey on the mentally ill, will be enforced through June of 2023, according to a source close to the situation. Yeah, we talked about that as well, and that's a situation that made my skin crawl personally. Online, Miller's fans? Who the fuck is support? Oh, probably NAMBLA. Miller's fans battle negative headlines on the star's behalf. Why? People who have spoken out against Miller on record or supported their alleged victims have been attacked and doxxed on Twitter. It's fucking Twitter. Why are you running cover for idiots on Twitter? I know Johnny Depp has a lot of fans and stuff, says a person. Yeah, but Johnny Depp didn't do anything wrong, so that's why he has fans and appreciation. Person close to Miller who claims Miller's fans are even more dedicated. Yeah, of course, because they're all fucking mentally ill. People devote their time to do this type of stuff, and a time when it's needed. Yes, exactly. Support the groomer that's out there. Okay, there's a budding community like that definitely growing on Twitter. You're not lying when you say that. In early August, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav axed a lot of stuff, but then said, hey, no, we're still relying on Flash because fuck, we spent way too much fucking money on this shit with a fucking head case like Ezra Miller. Told investors that he was bullish on The Flash and that the movie would go forward in 2023 with a theatrical release. The Hollywood Reporter, however, reported that Warner Brothers had discussed scrapping the film. They probably should, because actually, you know what? Hey, man, just for content's sake, I want them to release this stuff because I just also want to see how fucking atrociously it will be attended, what the ticket sales will look like, and who will actually show up to this type of stuff. 4 days later, Miller released their contrite statement about addressing their complex mental health issues. Wow, I guess Vanity Fair didn't anticipate anybody reading further down in this article because, ooh, big tonal shift right there. The notion that The Flash was at risk was a wake-up call, says the actor's rep. Miller and their CAA agent even made a trip to the studio's Burbank, California headquarters to apologize for the negative PR in person and expressed renewed commitment. Yeah, of course. Now just go get your head right so that by the time that this ends up getting released, you can show up in a fucking suit and purport and comport yourself appropriately. Some friends say Miller has been so creative with the truth in the past, so he's got a history of lying, so you can't take this motherfucker seriously. And so cavalier about getting mental health treatment. Yeah, exactly. I want receipts. So do so many other people as well, especially the people that he's harmed, the families that he's destroyed. That they have a hard time taking this statement seriously. If he's going to go through therapy, one person says, he's just acting through it. But Miller spokesperson insists, of course, the people that he's paying will say, no, he's taking it seriously this time. Double dog dare him to take it, of course. They're taking their therapy and treatment very seriously. Oh, okay, cool. Many people hope that it's true. Mary Herron, American Psycho, how appropriate, directed the actor for 3 days when they played a young Salvador Dali in Daliland. Adorable. They were very professional and nice to everybody, she told her Vanity Fair. Was this before or after the copious amount of drugs entering the system? Drugs, never once. Why do you think I'm such a staunch proponent of sticking on the straight and narrow? Because you take all of the fuck shit out of the situation, and Ezra Miller is charismatic. I don't know much about his acting talent, but people seem to want to give him opportunities. So you take all the fuck shit out of the equation, and this dude might actually have a future. But no. People will make up a whole bunch of excuses. Well, pot helps me be more creative and it helps me sleep. Cool. I too enjoy crutches and I need built-in excuses. Retards. As the story went to press, Vanity Fair exchanged messages with Miller's former fiancée, Erin. Oh, sorry about that. Who asked to be identified by her first name and whom the actor was dating when they began playing The Flash in 2016. The Ezra I knew wasn't violent or physically abusive towards anyone. To think back is painful because we had a deep love and he was good to me. Oh, misgendered him. So all of this crazy shit happened post-breakup, I guess. But looking back, oh, I'm sorry. But she does remember darkness after the breakup. For years, he convinced me and all our friends that I was abusive. Well, you could have been. But looking back, I would be calling this out. I'd be calling out his disrespect. Yeah, no, you're a problem too. And he wouldn't take responsibility. Oh, okay, cool. Did you have any responsibility to take in there as well? And just call me abusive because of my reaction. Yeah, maybe your reaction was abusive. Was he like, oh no, you probably just be quiet right now, and then you'd slap him? Maybe you were abusive. Okay, I could have handled it better. There it is. Women. I didn't know the term gaslight. Oh my god. Oh, I hate her too. I didn't know the term gaslighting back then. I was emotionally fucked up for years. Ugh, hate this bitch too. Need more details on her. When the allegations of Miller being abusive to others resurfaced, she admits she was hit. She hit with a sick relief. Maybe I wasn't the abusive one after all. Oh my god, women and accountability, and now we have non-binaries with no fucking accountability. Unbelievable. Just all of these people should just be put on the wall. But until we have movement on the situation, that's all she wrote for now. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.